Alrighty, fellow Warzone legends, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to try and bring you a Warzone PC performance tip that could change your gameplay completely. This video is for people who are rocking a 4K monitor, running a 4070 card or less, getting a great picture but struggling with low FPS. I've got a simple tweak that's going to unlock frames without sacrificing any of the visual clarity. So I'm showing you how I dial in 1440 through the NVIDIA Control Panel on a 4K monitor, running ultra settings in the game and pulling high frames whilst keeping the 4K sharpness. So if you want max performance, elite visuals, none of the usual headaches of low FPS, stick around. If you like the video, drop a like, hit subscribe. Now let's get you dialed in. Okay, so very quickly, just before we jump into the settings, why might you need these settings? I'll give you the example of why I need these settings. I've got a 4K monitor. I play Warzone on my PC on a 4K monitor. I've got a 4070 Super graphics card. I've got a 7800 X3D CPU. I've got 64 gig of RAM. The RAM doesn't matter, but if you've got a CPU and a GPU that's sitting somewhere around the same as mine, you might also be gaming, playing Warzone in 4K on a 4K monitor. To do that, I expect you're suffering with the same issue that I often suffer with, which is when I want to game on a 4K monitor, I have to turn the graphic settings down in Call of Duty to the absolute minimum. It still looks good, but to push the frames up, I have to usually switch on DLSS, which causes quite a lot of visual blur. So what I want to do is save myself having to clutter up my gaming desk with multiple monitors. I want to be able to pick and choose whether I play at 1080, 1440 or 4K on my 4K monitor. So the way that you can do that without suffering any issues where your graphics don't look good and you also get a high frame rate is to use the NVIDIA Control Panel. So let's go into the NVIDIA Control Panel now and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Once you have NVIDIA Control Panel open, make sure that you are in the adjust desktop size and position setting where you can see my mouse hovering over on the left hand side of the screen. Next, click aspect ratio and make sure that you have a dot in here. Then ensure that you choose perform scaling on GPU. Then make sure that you tick the box override the scaling mode set by games and programs, and then make sure you change the resolution from 4K, which is what it will be set at normally if you're running a 4K monitor. Okay, change it to 2560 times 1440 and make sure that down here you choose the highest refresh rate that your monitor is capable of. So this 4K monitor can output at 144 frames per second. When I run Warzone at 144 frames per second in 4K, I have to use, as I've said, DLSS. I have to put the settings right down low so that I can get close to 144 frames. And it doesn't look terrible, but it also doesn't look great. So these settings that I've given you here will now override the game, and I'll show you the game settings in a second. And this monitor, when I'm playing Warzone, will be outputting at 1440, okay, instead of 4K. When it does that, it allows you to get a lot more frames. So let's go. So once you've done these settings and you've chosen your highest refresh rate of your monitor, down here on the right where you can see my mouse hovering about, you just save it there. Okay, once you've done that, open up the game. Okay, now that you have the game open, go to your graphic settings and make sure in the display tab that you have your display settings as follows: full screen exclusive, the monitor that you're using, the graphics card that you're using, your screen refresh rate set to the highest available refresh rate. It should automatically be set to the highest. If not, switch it to the highest. Then The display resolution, if you've historically been gaming at 4K on a 4K monitor, will be set at one of these two. You want to make sure that you change it to 2560 by 1440. You want to make sure that you have NVIDIA Reflex low latency switched on. And for your custom frame limit, you have two choices. Leave it at unlimited. If you leave it at unlimited, the game will continue to push for the highest possible frames that it can obtain. Let's bear in mind that my monitor output's at 144, but at the moment in this screen you can see up in the top left my GPU is pushing for as many frames as possible. Normally this is sitting around 200 odd, but because I am recording this video whilst I have the game open, it's reducing the frames by quite a lot. Okay, if you leave it set to unlimited, your GPU temperature will keep going up and up as the game keeps trying to get more and more frames. But for the purposes of the video, I've set it to unlimited. Your second option is that you set it to custom. If you do set it to custom, make sure that your gameplay custom frame rate limit is about 3 frames below your monitor's output. So mine outputs at 144. I would normally set this at 141. That stops the GPU temperature going through the roof. It just keeps it at a nice temperature. For the menus, you could set this as low as 60. I leave it at 120. For the out of focus custom frame rate limit, it doesn't matter. It's only if you're tabbing in and out of the game. Set it at 30. Set your menu render resolution at maximal, and you're done. Apply the settings and save them. Just give me a second, sorry. Apply the settings down here and save them, and then you want to go into the quality tab. In the quality tab, you want to have your graphic preset set to custom. Your render resolution should now be 1440, even though you're on a 4K monitor. Make sure this is set to 100. Switch off dynamic resolution, and now you can use Fidelity CAS and still get lots of frames, which is great because Fidelity CAS really sharpens up the picture. I recommend that you set this around 70. Okay, this should be switched off. Your VRAM scale target should be set to 60. Variable rate shading should be switched off. Now you can see, guys, I've got texture resolution set to the highest possible. I've got texture filter anisotropic set to the highest possible. I've switched off depth of field just because it creates a blur and you don't want any blur around you when you're playing Call of Duty. Detail quality, I've got that set to high. I always set particle resolution to very low as a frame eater and isn't needed. I also set bullet impacts and persistent effects off. Shader quality set to high. On-demand texture streaming set to minimal on the basis that you do not want your internet connection to be trying to download textures while you're trying to shoot people in Call of Duty. Okay, you just don't want that. Local texture streaming quality set to normal, shadow quality set to ultra, screen space shadows set to high, occlusion and screen space lighting set to ultra, screen space reflection set to normal, static reflection quality, I do normally keep this turned down a little bit. I can find it a little bit of a kind of almost like a visual distraction. It's up to you where you set it. Tessellation all, because that just makes the environment look really nice. And guys, this is where you win. If you're normally using DLSS and running the game in 4K with low graphic settings, everything looks washed out, it looks flat, it just doesn't look good. These settings keep the frames high and make the game look really good. Volumetric quality is like a haze or fog that comes through light. You can see it on the right hand side of the screen. Set this to low because you, again, like depth of field, you don't want things that are distracting on the screen. Okay, deferred physics quality, that's how water and the ground looks. It's a little bit like tessellation, it just makes the environment look better. Set that to high. There are no weather settings for Warzone, switch that off. And for water quality, all you really need is wave wetness. So guys, those are the settings. Once you're done, save that, go back into display, go to restart your shaders preloading, restart your shaders, restart your game, play a game, and let me know how you get on. You should now be getting a game on a 4K monitor running at 1440 that looks brilliant and gives you high frames. If you don't have a 4070, let's say you've got a 3070 or something like that, you can still do this, but what you'll need to do is mess around a little bit with the settings and quality. I recommend starting by turning everything down one notch from the original settings that I've given you, and you'll probably be able to tweak it, and you will get somewhere, even on a slightly older graphics card, you will still be able to get a great looking picture, the game will look amazing, and you will get high FPS as well. Thanks a lot for watching today's video. Hope you're enjoying Call of Duty. We've obviously got Black Ops 7 beta and things coming up. I'll make some videos about that. Until then, take care, keep enjoying COD, stay away from the cheaters, and have a great rest of your week. Bye.